a lot of newbies get deterred from getting into tech because it's intimidating. Not only the jargon from the scripting languages that you have to learn or different cloud terminologies, the responsibility that comes with that is, I think, one of the most intimidating parts, because they're afraid that if they're going to make a mistake, especially the more that they learn about how it's all interconnected, that if they make a mistake, it's something that will potentially shut down a company. And it can. But I want newbies to know that every seasoned engineer has made production mistakes. When I say production mistakes, I mean like high-level mistakes. You know, it's part of your natural progression in this industry. I'll even tell you one story I had. It was my first cloud tech role when I was working in Durham for a company. And I was working on the evening shift. And one of my responsibilities were to whitelist IP addresses for developers who had been onboarded to the company, basically, and needed access to Bastion host or different production servers for any reason. So this was happened to be our biggest client, right? And I wasn't quite ready yet to do things on my own, but you know, as a lot of tech professionals have found out, you sometimes get thrown into it. You know, not a lot of companies have great onboarding practices and training documentation. So, you know, I just went for what I knew. They trusted that I could solve this particular problem, which was to allow this developer to have access to these servers. And, you know, they go through the appropriate protocol, of course, of approvals. So they got the approvals necessary. And I didn't even really understand whitelisted and blacklisted back then either. I understood what IP addresses were, I knew how to ping IP addresses, things like that, but that was about it, you know. So I had to whitelist IP address in a security group. And I messed around and went in and I blacklisted one of the now when you're whitelisted IPs, there's only, due to best practices, security practices, network practices, there's only a specific allotment of IPs that you can whitelist for particular groups to allow to have access to your servers, especially production servers. And usually in AWS at this time, it was about 90, and we had been at our max. So one of our protocols were to remove an older IP address of a user or application that was no longer in use, and then add a new one to replace it, or broaden the range of it. And so I had went in and I blacklisted, which means denied a particular IP address, and this was in a production account for production server. And all of a sudden, and I was working as a cloud support engineer, all of a sudden our ticket count went from like 47. We usually have 47, tickets open throughout the every hour throughout the shift. It was pretty normal for us. Went from 47 to like 2,000 tickets. Escalation after escalation. Oh, it was bad. And this was like a Saturday when everybody's off and chilling and everything. And we know we're working hard away, proving ourselves. And I blacklisted it, man. I hit deny on that IP address, and man, it shut down production servers globally. Across the whole U.S. region, and whatever other servers that were peered to it in different EU regions. I think China was affected as well. So it was wild. And this was our biggest client. And, I learned from it. I recovered from it. Talked to my manager about it. I was beaten up, of course. I was like, man, they're going to fire me. They're going to let me go, man. This thing, I just got started in cloud tech. This was my dream opportunity, man. I was like, I'm doing so well now. I was like, man, I was like, don't let me go. They didn't let me go. I had probably been there for like a month. They didn't let me go. And I I made the fix. We found out what the problem was because nobody knew what the problem was at the end initially, but probably like an hour or two in, we figured out what the problem was, which is me, because you go look at the CloudTrail users, see who did what, and yeah, we just made the correction. We fixed it. That was the first step. Second step was some type of remediation on how to avoid these problems, which is another part that can be added to this video and will become another video. Is mistakes that engineers make can become good policies for the company, because it can teach you how to better control your environments, so that you don't have one engineer that has so much power that could lead to production outages. So yeah, that's what happened. They had me go walk through. I had to sit with an engineer through whitelisting, and they also made a policy where our level, entry level engineers, junior engineers weren't allowed to change NACL IPs for production environments and production accounts. We could change it in dev accounts, staging account, but not in production. So I say all that to say, and I'm still here. 5 years later, cloud architect, I'm still here. So you're still going to be here too, but you're going to make mistakes. It's a part of the journey. That's why it's important to also get a lot of those mistakes made in your labs and your projects prior to getting your first cloud tech role, or in between cloud tech roles, so that you can know how to debug those problems when they do come up in the actual job that you're working. So be cloud engineers, cloud tech, big on. I'm here for more. Ask me more, cloud tech.